Afghanistan, and fighting as bloody as anything British forces have seen since the Second World War.
Friendly's coming in!
Right on the front line, elite Royal Marine commandos advance against the Taliban in brutal conditions and unforgiving desert terrain.
Quickly get down low!
3,000 miles away, and after 30 grueling weeks of training, the recruits of 924 Troop launched themselves on their final commando tests.
3, 2, 1, move!
Those that pass will win the famous Green Beret, the right to fight for their country and a ticket to the killing fields of Afghanistan.
Yeah, we're withdrawing back to Green 1.
Already in Afghanistan is Second Lieutenant Bertie Carr, who after months of unrelenting fighting is having to come to terms with the death of one of his men. A human battering ram called Tom Curry, nicknamed Vinders.
Get left for Vinders, out we go, left corners. Move.
He was killed in action just 10 days after his 21st birthday.
It was during a big attack on an enemy position. Tom was the first into the attack and was killed very early on. He died straight away.
Straight out.
.924 Troop started with 50 recruits. 25 have been back-trooped, that is, put into a more junior troop because of injury or not being up to standard, and 19 have left altogether. That means out of the original 50, only 9 have survived the training to this point.
I'm gutted to have lost so many. I think the troop is almost cursed. I mean, the amount of lads we've lost from injury and illness is quite uncanny. You can't plan for those things, it's just luck of the draw. And as with everything, there's averages, there's above averages, and there's below averages in this troop. Unfortunately, it's had completely bad luck, and we've got really below average numbers.
Hurry up! You're holding people up behind you!
Physically, it's probably the most demanding course in the world. You know, it's 32 weeks long of physical training. Every week is arduous, everything's different, and it's all progressive, the training. It's designed to build you up, but now and again, sort of the odd accident does happen, the odd trip and the odd fall. People break things or hurt themselves.
A simple trip on a speed march, but carrying 30 pounds of ammunition increases the impact. The result, one badly split knee and another broken recruit to be mended.
I don't think you did any damage to the knee joint itself, but it's going to become mildly inflamed just because of what you've done. The medicine itself isn't that difficult, it's balancing it with getting them back into training as soon as possible, so that they miss a minimum amount. And obviously, you know, the troop setup for them is really important. Their mates are in the troop, and a lot of attachment is within the troop. So we try and keep them with the troop if at all possible. But sometimes when they get more injured, then they have to be back trooped or go into Hunter for rehab. And Hunter is basically the rehab facility.
The reality is these guys are having to push themselves very hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're always finding their limits, inevitably just sort of crossing that boundary as well sometimes. So when they get tired, they tend to pick up more injuries. So you know, the physicality of the training isn't just about can they do it. You know, when they get tired, then they're actually more likely to get injured as well.
One recruit so far undamaged is James Williams from Kent, which is just as well because now he, his fellow originals and a handful of extra back-troop recruits who've joined 924 Troop face the ultimate ordeal before they can claim their Green Berets and call themselves Royal Marines. 4 gruelling commando tests that will make them or break them. The first test is the punishing endurance run, 6 miles of rough terrain and flooded tunnels.
Straight through. Williams, if you walk, you resign yourself to failure. You need to pass this, Williams. Get running.
Shit, my fucking thighs. Oh.
Before joining up, James had been a qualified plasterer and electrician in Civvy Street.
Let's go, Williams!
But 8 months ago, he reckoned there was more to life than just doing up other people's houses.
If I died at 70 years old, having a comfortable life, you know, cracking on, earning a bit of money doing this, and the most exciting thing I had to tell someone was, you know, I wired a massive mansion or, you know, rented a big house, you know, or if I went at, say, 30, but I had a good life and, you know, I had stories to tell.
You prefer that?
Yeah, definitely. Life's for living, innit?
I think it's really good for James. Really good for James, yeah. I mean, when he first said he was going to do it, I was, you know, because of Afghanistan and everything else, obviously, you want your children close, don't you?
Yeah, of course.
But when he first mentioned, I will be going to Afghanistan, I have been told that, I was really choked, and I thought, I said to you, didn't I? I said, I don't want you to go there. And he said, what do you mean you don't want me to go there? You know, I will be going there, I can't wait. But, yeah, I'm sure he'll be fine. Yeah.
Bullets bounce off commandos anyway. Bullets bounce off commandos.
3, 2, 1, go! Pull him out, turn him round. Pick him up.
From the beginning, James never doubted he would make it through training.
You enjoying yourself?
I am enjoying myself, sir.
Why?
Because I know in 8 months' time I'll be a commando.
Let's go, Williams! Yeah. Well done, you. Go on.
Now, almost a commando, James grits his teeth for the 6 torturous miles of the endurance run. All Royal Marines have to pass these tests, and officers are no exception. Indeed, it's only been a few short months since Second Lieutenant Bertie Carr, now in the thick of it in Afghanistan, completed the tests to win his own Green Beret. The iconic headgear awarded to all Royal Marine commandos since the Second World War.
Get down into cover. Get down into cover. Down.
Now on his first deployment, the 23-year-old troop commander has seen more action than his father ever did in his entire career as a Royal Naval officer.
What's going on? Sergeant Major Lane, what's your lockstat, over?
I think it's a generational thing. My father left his training as a naval officer at Dartmouth and was immediately plunged into the Second World War. I did 37 years in the Royal Navy and never heard a shot fired in anger. Bertie leaves training and 10 days later he's crouching behind a rock being shot at by Taliban. It's the luck of the draw. My generation, brought up during the Cold War, saw very little of this kind of thing relative to what's going on now. And you go back to the Victorian age, I think lots of young men saw what Bertie's now seeing.
Friendly's coming in! Hey, gun team's coming in, lads! Sergeant Major, is that gun team okay? Gun team okay, yeah? Down there! Straight down that way, down that way.
Are you both dealing with the fact that your son's out there?
Well, we've got a puppy to distract us. It comes and goes. I think we think about him most of the time.
Yeah, there are good days and bad days, really. Distractions are the answer. But yeah, it's a worry, no question about it. But as we've known, or anyway suspected, that we'd have to face this ever since he announced he wanted to join the Marines at the age of 5 or whatever it was.
Yes, but it's never been real before.
It's never been real before, and it's quite sharp-edged now, but it's not a surprise.
Okay. Straight over the saddle, yeah?
But the fact that it's something which he's good at and enjoys doing, as far as we can tell, is a great comfort.
Can we, straight over the saddle, yeah?
Anyone who gets through Royal Marine training will by definition be good at what they do. And that's exactly what 924 Troop are trying to prove right now, as they attempt the second of their commando tests, the 9-mile speed march on roads and rough ground.
Break off, watch your footing!
Carrying 32 pounds of equipment, this speed march has to be completed in less than 90 minutes. It's an unrelenting challenge.
Right, Williams?
Yes.
Sir, we're making so much noise more.
Because I'm in pain.
Which bit?
All right, I got
Lungs?
legs. My hands are freezing.
Good. That's what we like to hear, Williams. If it was easy, everyone would do it, wouldn't they, Williams?
By the 7-mile mark, 3 originals fall out, only to be hospitalised with exhaustion.
Keep step now, do not see the people up behind you. Suck it in, water stop, not far from here.
That takes us now down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 originals. We have got left Williamson, Sparks, Blight, Hogan, Barnes and Williams.
Okay, nice and tight circle until you've got a bit of space, keep moving. Ease up, ease up.
But for the survivors of 924 Troop, the worst is yet to come. Test 3, the aerial Tarzan assault course. Absolutely not to be attempted without an ambulance standing by.
Good, concise, correct technique at all times. 2-footed landings at all times. The last thing you want now is get an injury day before your 30-miler. You've all got the ability to pass this. Believe it in your heads that you can pass this, and you will. Do you understand, men? You give absolutely everything you've got.
Okay, fellas, move up.
The Tarzan assault course is a body-crunching set of obstacles tackled at height and at speed.
Okay, get the strap on now.
It must be completed in under 13 lung-bursting minutes. It starts with the aptly named Death Slide.
Stand by! First man! 3, 2, 1, move! 1, 2, move!
Okay, palms facing up. Pull down the arms, step, pull the arms, step.
8 months ago, the recruits would have found this impossible, but they can now boast the fitness levels of an international athlete.
Go there, straight into it, fella.
Good lad. Get that arm over.
Rob, good. Straight on there, let's go. Let's go, Williams! Williams! In there. Williams, stop!
With a time of 11 minutes 30 seconds, James has now passed 3 out of 4 Commando tests. In just 12 hours, he and the rest of 924 Troop will face the final and most extreme of the tests. An early morning breakfast. The calories have to be packed in before 924 Troop embark on a back-breaking 30-mile route march, mostly on the run, across treacherous moorland. And all of them, remember, battered and exhausted by the previous 3 days of tests.
This is, for you, the culmination of 9 months training. Blood, sweat and tears for every one of you. Only 8 hours now stands between you and getting a green beret. What you will join, men, at the end of this is the biggest fucking boys club in the world, okay? The biggest and the best. If at any time you feel that you want to give up, do not. Take one more small step, tell yourself you'll give up a mile later, then a mile later. 30 miles, 8 hours.
The recruits know that those who pass this and win the Green Beret could be sent to Afghanistan within days to replace battlefield casualties that have been mounting.
We got a gun team in.
Second Lieutenant Bertie Carr has been in Afghanistan now for 3 months.
There's a casualty in, yeah, that's it. I thought he'd been hit in the chest. Fucking grim.
He has seen many injuries on the front line. He's also witnessed the death of one of his own men. Tom Curry was a massive Marine, known to everyone as Vinders. A fine rugby player, Tom often doubled up as a sort of human battering ram.
Good effort, Finders. Out we go, left.
Out. Move. Good effort, lads.
But 1 week after I filmed him demolishing this wall, he was dead.
It was during a big attack on an enemy position. Tom was the first into the attack and was killed very early on. He died straight away. But as it was right at the beginning of the attack, we still had the whole position to clear. Which the guys did, to their credit, although they knew that they'd lost their friend. They'd seen him be killed. They carried on fighting.
I knew it was Tom straight away. I was shouting to the lads, like, lads, give him first aid. And they knew that them first aiders knew that he was dead, but I didn't know instantly. So I was shouting to them to help Tom.
I could instantly tell straight away when I got up to Tom that he'd been killed, and he was obviously didn't suffer anything in any sort of way or form. So I had a quick check over his body, and obviously Tom did look quite messy, especially as he took a traumatic head wound. So right next to him was a dead Taliban, so I grabbed a scarf that was wrapped around this dead Taliban to wrap around Tom's face. I didn't want the rest of the guys looking at Tom in that way, because they've all got good memories of Tom, and I didn't want that one to be the last memory of him. It was almost like talking to him, a bit strange, but I said, "Oh, Tom, sorry mate, I'm going to have to wrap this scarf around your face. I don't want the lads seeing you like that."
Once I realised that Tom had died, I kind of got upset at first, but then I knew I had to keep with it for the lads, and because the lads were assaulting the big compound further on. Once we had retreated then back into the wadi with Tom on a stretcher, that's when I broke down in tears, and I couldn't carry him. I couldn't do nothing. I just had to stay on my own, and my mate Richie was comforting me quite well.
Sometimes it's been like a bad dream, like. It's not been nice watching your friends die around you, like. We're young guys, we should be growing old, watching our friends die around us when we're old, like. We're not at this age.
Everyone that will come out of training, come straight out here, will be eager for action, but they learn that it's not as nice as it may look.
Everyone had lost a good friend. As a troop commander, it was hard anyway, but the fact that I'd lost a bloody good Marine just meant that my troop was that much weaker.
Marines trained to be frontline soldiers, always ready to step into the breach when needed.
Dig deep, lad, come on! That's it, Sparks.
Keep closed up, you're doing strong so far. Strong effort by everyone.
It is barely a year since Tom Curry himself completed the 30-miler to earn his own Green Beret, a life ambition.
He absolutely loved the Marines. He couldn't believe that he'd get paid for doing something that he loved. You know, I think the Marines suited him down to the ground. He liked that camaraderie, you know, of being wanted, and you know, he wanting other people. So he's very determined, stubborn at times, and he's very big, you know, physically big. One of the letters we got from one of the many people who wrote to us said he was a perfect Marine, and he was, really.
Must have been a very proud day when you passed out.
Oh, absolutely. We had a big party of us went down, and with friends and family, and we were so proud of him because we didn't know that he'd been awarded the Commando medal, which is awarded by his peers, and with all of the qualities that it takes to be a Marine, you know.
The Commando medal is awarded to the man who shows throughout recruit training to an outstanding degree the following qualities of Commando spirit: courage, determination, unselfishness and cheerfulness. The Commando medal for 900 Troop is awarded to Marine Curry.
You want to have a group of people that you can go into battle with, if you like, and rely on each other. And I think in a way, perhaps that's how the course works. It weeds people out. People who can't cope with it. Maybe people don't feel comfortable with other people, and they realise that. And I think he was proud to be a Marine, really.
There is a saying in the Marines, pain is temporary, but the Green Beret is forever. That's why 924 Troop now dig deep on their final commando test. 30 miles is a long way across Dartmoor, carrying 40 pounds of kit. But a determination learned over the last 30 weeks is a powerful fuel.
Not going to give up now. Come too far to give up.
Last little push, this syndicate. The final leg, yeah, this is it. Go, Jones!
The Humpback Bridge is the finishing line of the 30-miler and marks the end of 32 weeks of the hardest military training in the world.
They look good. It's as fresh as I've seen a group come across. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, good effort. Very solid, very strong finish. Yeah, very pleased with that.
Thank you.
The Green Beret has been a long time coming for the recruits of 924 Troop.
James, what's this mean to you, this moment?
Oh, I can't describe it at the moment. I was just sitting down on my kit and just like looking at the water flowing over this bridge and underneath this bridge and that, and I was thinking, oh, this really don't seem real. Yeah. I'm actually sitting here at the end of the 30 mile, you know, just done. So, but it isn't, I don't know. I never felt so happy when I see the bridge. From just as soon as we saw the bridge, I was ecstatic. Coming over it, brilliant. I guess it's going to mean a lot in a minute when we get presented with our Green Berets. Ask me after that.
Yeah.
How'd you find that?
That was the hardest thing I've ever done, sir.
Was it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you sure?
Yes, sir.
So if we had to turn around now and do it again, can you do it?
For one of them, yes, sir.
With it on your head?
Yes, sir.
Well done. Good lad. Right answer.
Go for Williams.
Thank you, sir.
Just 6 of the original intake of 50 have made it, and they will pass out as Royal Marines Commandos in a week's time. And the 2 top recruits are immediately told that they are being sent to Afghanistan as urgent casualty replacements. One is Mark Blight from Warrington. The other is James Williams.
Well done, we still out. Right,
At last, cause to celebrate. A night out on the town, recruits and training team as one, and for all, a tequila slammer, Royal Marine style.
Listen, there's only one fucking way to do a tequila stuntman. Listen! You fucking snort the salt, you down the tequila, and then you squirt the lemon in your eye.
Jack bastard!
In your fucking eye. Got Glanfield on me.
Oh, right, hang on. I need to watch
you first. Right, lads. Obviously, lead by fucking example. Colt Glanfield and I will crack it first.
Down the street.
3, 2, 1.
It's not salt.
Drink it. In your eye.
Oh, Jen! That's the word to it! Get it down, you fucking lads!
From now on, whether on the lash or on the front line, it's all for one and one for all.
Which one was it in your eye?
Right. Kissing it better.
Is that better?
Much better.
It's passing out day for 924 Troop. Proud families arrive at Lympstone for the big day that many recruits probably thought would never come.
You spend 32 weeks tearing your hair out with some of these kids and driving you up the wall, but no, it's always worth it in the end. This feeling today and passing them and shaking them all by the hand and letting them not call you corporal anymore and you calling them by their first name, it's worth it in the end, definitely. Feeling second to none.
And you've got 2 guys, of course, going straight out to the front line.
Yeah.
And obviously you reckon they're ready for it?
Yeah, they'll be ready for it. Obviously they will have to forget a few Lympstone things. It'll be an operational camp, I would imagine. So they're going to forget about ironing their clothes and they're going to concentrate on keeping alive, and someone's going to help them concentrate on that. So no, they'll be all right. They're 2 very, very good lads. So yeah, hopefully they'll be all right.
It's all exciting now. You know, what's it going to be? Obviously for me and Blight, going to Afghanistan. It's a bit more exciting, I guess.
Yeah.
You're going to make new friends and there's going to be new faces.
Yeah.
But yeah, for a while, I guess, I don't know how it's going to be. You know, I've not done this before.
What's your mum say? What's your mum think?
At first, she was a bit, you know, you could tell in her voice every time you spoke about it, she just didn't want to talk about it, you know. And she phones me up, another Marine died. Oh, another Marine died, but I don't know. What'd you say? How many people got run over today?
I'm really pleased that he's done it, and I'm really proud of him. Really proud of him, but the big but is, goes away to Afghanistan. If I was to choose a career for James, then he would probably be an electrician, and he'd be living near, settled down with someone with children, and just up the road.
So you wouldn't choose the Royal Marines for him?
No, I wouldn't have chosen the Royal Marines for him at all.
So this is Maureen Williams. Maureen Williams, well done, congratulations indeed. Good. What did you find toughest on?
Just lately, and whenever I watch the news, it is another Marine. And I think the last Marine that died was only about 25. And I say to James, another Marine's died. He said, but it's the Marines that are out there, Mum. He said to me, he said, I'm actually doing something that I really, really love. He said, so please, don't worry about me. It will be okay. And if anything did happen, then please remember that I wanted to do it. So, have to respect that.
Royal Marines, to your duties! Quick, march!
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Passengers travelling on flight Romeo Romeo 3246 to Kandahar, Kabul and on to Camp Bastion. Your aircraft is finally ready for boarding.
Leaving Britain today, hundreds of extra troops bound for Afghanistan. Many will have served there before, but for at least two, it's their first time to a war zone.
I'm not bothered about going out there. You know, I'm not under any illusions about it, but now, you know, I'm happy in my job. I wasn't happy before, having to find the will to go out and clip cables all day, feeling quite dead all day actually, because it was just so mundane and it wasn't me. It wasn't for me. And now, in my eyes, I'm now a trained Royal Marine Commando. You know, one of the Queen's soldiers, ready to go and fight for the Queen.
Yeah.
Simple as that. But my only concern's Mum. That is my only concern, Mum.
Stand back, clear, take up, confirm. And we go, we'll be rolling. Everybody happy?
So, for James, who has reinvented his life just about as dramatically as anybody could, a 7-hour flight separates him from Afghanistan, the battlefields, and his duty as a Royal Marines Commando on the front line. Camp Bastion, the massive British base in southern Afghanistan, and springboard to military operations throughout Helmand province, and where the rookie Marines meet their troop commander for the first time. Second Lieutenant Bertie Carr.
Firstly, congratulations on passing out of Lympton. You both did quite well, so it's quite a mark in the man getting through Lympton. So now you're coming out and joining M Company, joining 11 Troop, which is an extremely good troop. I don't know if you've met the other lads in the troop yet, but they've had quite a hell of a time over the past few months out here in Afghanistan. They've had quite a few experiences. What that means for you is that you should look to learn from them, to sort of learn from their experiences and listen into what they have to say. Other than that, welcome to 11 Troop, to Afghanistan.
Thank you, sir.
Right, cheers, lads.
Cheers, sir.
Within hours, James, along with the rest of his company, prepares to move some 50 miles north to a forward operating base known as Fob Price, a remote British outpost built out of the desert. The company of Marines, around 100 men, will move in a convoy of armoured Viking personnel carriers. Once out of Camp Bastion, nowhere is safe from enemy attack. And for James, of course, this is as far from Kent and his mum that he's ever been. Fob Price has been the frequent target of Taliban mortar and rocket attack, but is strategically positioned to guard the town of Gereshk, where the Marines are trying hard to establish good relations with the local people. This is part of the other battle being waged in Afghanistan, the battle for hearts and minds. Nonetheless, a very real threat remains, which Bertie makes clear to his troop as they prepare for a patrol into the streets of Gereshk.
Attached to us we have, lads, attached to us we have 4 CIMIC, 1 medic, Sergeant McGinley and 1 Turk. Right, the situation, no change, enemy force activity continues on the outskirts of Gereshk with checkpoints coming under sporadic attacks. In reports suggest enemy forces are intent on further attacks in the area. It's my intent to conduct a foot patrol through the centre of Gereshk and patrol down through the south of the town and be picked up by the vehicles to return to Price. Be prepared to defeat any enemy encountered. Any questions? Arthur, you all set? Yeah, you're good to go? Looking forward to it?
Yeah, I just want to get some, I want to get some experience under the belt, you know.
This one should be an easy patrol. You might hear a bit of sporadic gunfire from a distance, but it shouldn't be anything to worry about. Yeah, nothing, no harder than what you've done before. So just this time it's real bullets.
But first they move to Gereshk, and the convoy proceeds with caution. The big threats to vehicle movements are roadside bombs. So every gunner scans the desert around them, knowing that the Taliban are indistinguishable from civilians who look on with suspicion and probably fear. Patrolling the streets of Gereshk, partly a deterrent to any Taliban in the area, but it's also an opportunity to meet and greet the locals. Floppy hats are the order of the day, less aggressive than helmets. And as always, those most willing to break the ice are the children, who just want to shake hands.
Bertie, this is just to show a friendly presence, is it?
Yeah, it is pretty much. Yeah. Just to give them a bit of reassurance. It's been a bit of fighting on the outskirts. There hasn't been fighting in the centre of Gereshk for quite a long time. So hopefully it'll stay that way. Good to see lots of people in the market. Is business good?
Yeah, not too good.
Oh, good. All right, lads. All right, before we cause a big traffic jam. Good. All right, lads.
Bertie leads his men up to a mud-built fortress to greet the Afghan police, who use it as a prison for captured Taliban.
Quiet today?
How many prisoners have you got at the moment?
30 prisoners. 30 prisoners.
30.
13, yeah.
13. Yeah. 13 prisoners.
How long have they been here? Where did they come from?
After checking on the prisoners, the Marines survey the town below them and its flourishing market.
I'm bringing some money out here next time.
Buy a few goods in the market.
Hearts and minds.
I saw a nice slab of meat. I had a few flies on, but brushed them off.
Richie managed to get a watch for $2.
Did he?
Proper Joan Casio as well.
Really?
How much did you pay for yours, sir?
I paid £13 for mine.
£13, $3, about what, £1.50?
spoofing.
Yeah.
Did you get a tea?
Probably brand new Casio watch from the locals.
Did you get a warranty with it?
Yeah. You say come back any time and I exchange it if the Taliban shoots it.
How's it go? Alarm?
Alarm.
Yep.
Stopwatch.
Yep.
GPS. Do you know why the prisoners are in prison, sir?
Because they're bad men, Marine Rollins.
Oh, we all don't.
Queen's enemies.
The troop move out of Gereshk. For James, this patrol, though routine, has been an eye-opener. And of course, his first chance to meet real Afghanis.
Kids seem really friendly. Hopefully they'll grow up with the same attitudes and that, then, you know, the country will get on just fine, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Every day, James goes on patrol. Into the desert, into the villages, and into the poppy fields. There has to be a constant show of strength, both to deter the enemy, as well as to reassure a frightened and often bewildered people.
You heard that?
Yeah, I heard that, mate. Crack.
You heard the whiz up here? Did you hear the crack? Yeah. Yeah, gunshot.
Even in this seemingly benign environment, someone's taken a pot shot and run. This is, after all, bandit country, dangerous, lawless. Most Afghanis just want peace and to get on with their lives, but in Helmand especially, few are ever far from battle. These gunners are firing on an enemy position some 12 miles away. And James, now a month into his deployment, takes his turn on sentry duty, as the Taliban are never far away and can strike without warning.
It's weird, because, God, this time last year I was shivering on some building site, fed up with bloody clipping another cable to another joist. And now, 1 year on, it's probably about 30 degrees in another country with a fucking loaded weapon in a war zone. It's weird, isn't it? Life is pretty strange.
With James on sentry duty, Bertie leaves with the rest of his troop for an outlying district. They are heavily armed and, as ever, wary of enemy attack. And their mission?
All right, lads, how's it going?
A school visit to meet the very people that the Taliban will want to start recruiting before they're too much older.
You want to try it on?
This is a chance for the Royal Marines to commune with young Afghanis and introduce them to a few of their own tribal rituals.
You want me to help you? You want to cheat? Spash. 6, 6. 6, so 4 times 6 is what? Is 24? 24. 6 times 4 is 24. Last time I was at school, anyway. Thank you very much. What's this? Ah, you're drawing war pictures. Pictures of tanks shooting at other tanks, which are all being shot at by Chinooks, by helicopters. Did you do this one? Yeah? Tank.
This is Taliban.
Taliban. Boo. Boo. Yeah. Boo. Right. I've got to go. 1 second.
Being a soldier on the front line in Afghanistan is as much about hearts and minds as it is about bullets and bombs. But whichever way you look at it, it's an immense challenge, and that challenge is different for every Marine.
Being out here is what I wanted to do, and no doubt I'll probably come out here plenty more times. But worst bit for me, just having my dear mum sit at home, worrying every day. I hate her being like that. But every day I talk to her, I always say, "Are you getting upset?" "No, I've still got this cold," she goes. "I've still got this cold." But I know it's not a cold. And just the thought of her just not being, you know, always constantly worrying and going through that, it's the worst bit. Yeah. But at the same time, I can't give this up. Yeah.
As a filmmaker, I naturally get involved with those I film, and it's difficult, therefore, to remain dispassionate, especially when you see people you care about putting themselves at mortal risk. 924 Troop, James Williams, the Bertie Carr, all these guys, they've become extraordinary young men, you know, combined by the brotherhood, which of course they've been drawn into, and motivated by the Royal Marine ethos, the qualities, determination, unselfishness, courage, and of course cheerfulness in the face of adversity. A template not just for being a Royal Marine, but for life itself. We're told by the politicians that the war here could last a generation, 25, 30 years. Which means that the young Royal Marines who will eventually have to serve out here with all the consequent risks have yet to go through training, have yet to leave school, and then indeed have yet to be born. And that really makes you think. Many of these young men have endured battle at its very worst. But James Williams is new to war, and still has something to prove.
The lads have said, I mean, they're sick, what they've gone through, but they don't want to go through it again. But I've yet to go through that. As wanting to be a Royal Marine Commando, you joined up for all that. Yeah. You know, you want the action. Yeah. And I've not got my fix out here yet.
You still want it? You're still hungry?
Yeah, I want the deliberate ops. I want, you know, I want the rounds coming past me. Maybe when it all happens, I'll be like some of the guys back in the grot saying, "No, that's enough for me now."
I'd like to think it hasn't changed us all too much. I suppose I'd be very naive to think it hasn't changed us at all. The things that we've seen and the things that we've had to do are certainly going to have an effect, yeah. But I like to think that the way we deal with it, by supporting each other and talking about it, reduces any negative effects that it may have. There's a good system of looking after each other. And that will continue when we get back. And I'd like to think that, if anything, then it's just changed us for the better.
March! Left, right, left, right, left.
6 months later, the men of 4-2 Commando, back from Afghanistan, speed march through local lanes at their base in Devon. But this is no ordinary speed march. They're heading to a place called Dewiston Hill on Dartmoor to remember the comrades they lost in Afghanistan.
A man can have no greater love than to lay down his life for his friends. Our friends and colleagues, Hayden, Richie, Tom, Scott, Ben and Richard, were our friends, and they laid down their lives for us, for their country, and in the process of making the world a better place. May their memories live on in our hearts and in the hearts of all those whom they love.
They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Obviously, his parents were always worried while he was away, but he was very unconcerned about it. He said that was his job, and he'd get sent wherever he had to go. It's what he wanted to do, and I couldn't stop him. You can't say you can't do this. But I didn't think at the time that it would be such a difficult environment, which it proved to be. He was regarded as a perfect Marine, so I thought that, you know, he could cater for those situations, but you can never cater for a random situation, which is exactly how he was killed. But, you know, you're a proud father of someone who became a Royal Marine, and the best Royal Marine on the day. So yes, very proud.
Out of the 50 recruits who arrived to join 924 Troop, 24 eventually passed out as Royal Marines commandos. Bertie Carr is now a troop commander at the Commando training base in Lympstone. And James Williams is back in Afghanistan on his second tour of duty as a commando on the front line.